Alrighty, guys. Well, welcome back to another episode of the On-Site Inside podcast. I'm your host, Corey Tompkins, and today we have a very special guest, Anthony. I want to thank you for coming on, mate. It's episode 41 today, and Anthony is from Synergy. So thanks
for having me. Well, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So we were chatting a little bit off camera about, obviously a little bit about me and a little bit about you, and we were just sort of shooting the shit a little bit. But yeah, man, if you want to just give our listeners a little bit of a recap of you and how you started, how you got into it, and what it looks like now, and then, yeah, man, we'll get rolling with it.
Okay. Well, Anthony, of course, from Synergy Building Design, and we're building designers by trade. So mostly we're now in the luxury home design space.
Yep.
We used to do a lot of other things, but now we're kind of focusing on that area. And how I got into this, it's a long story. I don't know if we've got enough time, but if I went right back to the early days and stuff like that as a kid, there was certain things that I knew I wanted to do when I grew up, and this was one of them. And basically, there's two other things as well. I like fast cars and flying planes. So basically, I'm doing them when I can. But mostly, this is what I'm focused on as a building designer. And essentially, kind of, the fondest memories I have is as growing up as a kid, and people my age would remember getting the lottery houses that would come through, and you'd see these things and you'd look at these amazing, houses on floor plans and things like that. And that's kind of where it started triggering with me. I'd always look forward to the weekend when the courier mail would come and pull out the section and it'd have this lottery house that was in there that basically I just kind of look down and look at and just go, wow, that's amazing. One day I want to do this. Yeah. And just remembering going, my parents and then on the school trips and things like that, going into the city and just seeing the brutalist architecture, especially on the south side in South Bank, and looking at that, just going, wow. And, these are real life Bond villain layers, if you really think about them, and just kind of like the basics about it. So, and that's where the journey started. Kind of in my teens took me in a different direction. We moved back to our family out west in the country, a little place called Mergen. Mum and Dad took over one of the family businesses, and essentially I was starting to kind of work my way up into that in my late teens, early 20s. And then one day, after doing a lot of different type of jobs, a lot of labour-intensive jobs, butchering, working at a tannery, driving trucks and things like that, then basically just went, what am I doing? And it was about time to go back to Brisbane. Jumped into a course through TAFE, and then it kind of just started building from there and become a building designer that way. Yeah.
So was that that was your route through TAFE? Because I've spoken to many, like there's always a different way to skin a cat.
Yep. There's quite a few different ways of being kind of starting this journey and taking it all the way to the end in terms of becoming an architect. Yeah. But effectively you can start at the TAFE level, you can jump in at a degree level through university. Yeah. And then essentially building designers are pretty well licensed, very similar to a builder in Queensland, right? So effectively, we have a building designer's license. The categories are similar: low-rise, mid-rise, high-rise. Yeah. And effectively, depending on your education base, when you got your license, things like so, I'm licensed as a medium designer, medium-rise designer, and effectively, so then you can go on and do university degrees, and then obviously go and do your masters and so forth, and become registered as an architect and things like that. Yeah. At my period of time in my life, I kind of had to make things happen. I gave myself a period of time to make it work. Yep. And then once I've got my qualification, I started working obviously for architectural firms and building design firms and things like that. Yep. Build up my time similar to, say, like a builder would. And then effectively then go and register with the QBCC and then effectively get your license, and then, the rest is history kind of thing. Yeah.
And it sounds all easy to say, but hard to implement. Yeah. And I think it's very, it's very similar on the other side of the coin as well. It's like we get a lot of guys say, X, Y, and Z, but I think, it was only recently I was talking to an actual employee of mine that's thinking of going out on his own. Yep. And he wasn't aware about any of the licensing and how to do it. And I just explained to him, I said, listen, you need, like, before you even think about that, you need to really understand on what you need to do. Like, it's not as easy as just going out there on your own. Like, you got to have the experience, go through the thing, like get the license, and then, you know, it's on and on and on.
There's a point where, as you would know, there's a point where you go, I want to do this for myself, right? Or I feel that I have to do this for myself. And that kind of, that trigger, whether or not there's a trigger that happens in yourself or whether or not you get pushed. In my case, I got pushed a little bit and ran another building design company in Brisbane, well-known one, for 4 years, went on a holiday for the first time in 4 years, came back to nothing, and then basically just went, hang on a second, it's time that I needed to go and do this. And I was thrusted into that. So for me, it was kind of a make or break type of scenario, which a lot of people still do to a certain degree. But you don't know what you don't know. And unfortunately, when you go into these types of scenarios as business owners, let alone whatever career path it is, you sometimes look past all the nitty gritty. So you're always picking up the great points about it. Oh, eventually I'm going to be able to buy this amazing car. I'm going to be able to build this house and stuff like that. But you forget about everything else that kind of needs to happen in between, or you ignore the little details sometimes before you kind of go through it. And it's very hard to instill that kind of knowledge that you've built up over the years. You know, I'm 22 years this year in this career, and 16 years with Synergy, and effectively,
which is a massive milestone on its own.
Which is huge. Yeah. Here I was in the first couple of years thinking, I knew the statistics, right? Well, get that word right. Is that a lot of businesses fail within the first 12 months, 2 years definitely. And then if you made it to the 5-year period, you're doing well. But hang on a second, now you've got to get to the 10-year period. And when I rolled over the 10-year period, I remember just sitting down one day with a beer in my hand just going, wow, I've got here, and
you survived it, mate. Like it's so, obviously you haven't just gone through it as well, like with nothing. You've obviously built something substantial, but it's so overlooked. Like I ran a statistic the other day about, I put it up on my socials about that whole, I think it's, if I remember correctly, and no doubt someone in the comments will remember, but it was, 90% of first startup businesses when they start out fail in the first 12 months.
Yeah.
Out of the 10% that make it, only 10% of that make it to 5 years. And then same thing again. Out of the 10% that make it out of that, make it to the 10-year mark.
And it's that this rate of attrition that just happens with new businesses and over time. And there's still no guarantee after 10 years you're still going to be there. No. You've got to be able to pivot. You've got to be able to look at the forces. You can't stand still. A couple of times I did stand still a little bit and almost caught me out. But also too, it's taking me 22 years, 16 years. Well, 16 years in business is also too, it's constantly, we're in the process of reinventing ourselves, right? So we understand what the market needs. We kind of take it there, and then you're constantly kind of refocusing on that. Well, what's happening now? What else can I do? What other services can I implement into the business? What are people wanting from us? And also to, not being afraid to put a dollar value on it as well. So there's that constant kind of reinventing as you go through and stuff like that. You and I were talking about off camera, talking about rebranding and stuff like that. We're not so much going through a rebranding process at the moment, but we're definitely going through, what does my output into social media and what is that looking like, and what do I want that to say to my customers, and what type of people do I want to come back? And we kind of started this journey about 7 years ago. I hit a wall. We were doing like 250 clients a year, 250 clients a year, because it was all numbers based, right? Set the sales process, get them in the phone, go out and see them on the dining room table, sign them up, take them out of the marketplace. That was the goal. Get in there, put a number in front of them that they couldn't refuse, and go, right, we could make profit on that. It's only going to be small profit, but we have to do numbers. So you bring the numbers back, and you're doing 250. So I was doing all the sales, running around, doing all the design work, and then basically having a fleet of staff that actually made they
executed out on the
executing in the office. I got to the point where before COVID, where I had a secretary and a PA, and then I had this massive staff base of doing the work. I was going hammer and tong. And I hit a wall, and one day just went, I can't keep doing this. Something's got to change, and went through about a 12-month period of just going, why am I doing this? You know, I love what I do. I came into this industry and I came into this running my own business, being able to kind of share my joy with my customers and my client base and stuff like that for the love of design. And it just doesn't feel like this. It just feels like I've got to do numbers.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think everyone goes through that cycle.
Yeah.
You know, even for us, I wouldn't say we lost ourselves or anything, but, you know, in hindsight's a wonderful thing. Like, I look back at some of the stuff that we used to do and the things that we used to price, and, you know, I'd hit my head against the wall. But it's just, I think, you know, I'm a lot younger in business. I think we're nearly going to be cracking 10 years very soon.
Yep.
But, you know, even then, I only feel like only now that I actually get it. You know, and probably in another 10 years, I'll be saying the same fucking thing. Like,
I'm 16 years in owning this business, right? I've had, in that 16 years of synergy's been the constant. I've had other bits and pieces. We only just shut another one down because it just wasn't fitting the way that we want to move forward. And that, you know, going from 250 and pulling it right back, I think now we're at about 35 clients a year now. And what did that mean, and what did that create, that shift? And it was really also too going out in the marketplace and starting to realise that you need to value your time, right? And there's a value for that as well, and attracting the right customer base that's going to come to you saying the same things or understanding the value.
And they want you. They don't just want the dollar that's on the page.
Correct. Yeah. And it's all about great communication and so forth. And money is an important thing, whether it's the cost of your services or whether it's the build costs, right? But if that's not the highest priority for them, they kind of want to engage on a particular level with a designer, they want to engage on a particular level with a builder. A lot of this other stressful stuff kind of just takes a back seat, and it doesn't become stressful because you've got a great process in place. It works really, really well. So once we realized that, and we sat back and looked at it and went, oh, okay, this is why. You look at the field of other businesses similar to mine, you go, you know, there's guys similar to me, and then these guys that are doing great performance and they're looking fantastic. And you go, how do I do that? And where did they have to go to do it? And it's not an overnight thing, right? You have to work hard, but you have to understand yourself probably more than anything else, and that's probably the biggest thing. And I'll say it now. I mean, I've struggled with confidence all my life, and it's only, like you say, realised now that the pennies. I'm 46 years old. You know, still young. 46 years old, young. And you look at the Colonel from KFC never really made it work until he was in his late 80s, early 90s, and you think, Christ, I hope it doesn't take that long. But
it's the journey of loving it.
Exactly. Yeah. And you have to, don't fight it, love the journey, enjoy it, and that's probably one of the biggest things I found difficult, because I fought the journey a lot. But basically,
did you think? Sorry to interrupt you. Did you think that you fought the journey because you wanted it sooner than it came, or was comparison? Because that's a massive, like, you know, you're probably looking at me thinking I'm fucking so young, right? But even for me, I'm, you know, nearly 10 years in, but 7-8 years ago, I was looking at some, you know, comparing people, and I used to talk to my wife and say, like, fuck, I want that, or I want that. And you would fight the journey so hard. You'd be like, I'm not where I want to be. Like, I don't have the office I want. I don't have the start. Like, I don't have the company vehicles that I want. And it was just always, you know, where now I think, you know, I still do it to a degree, but I'm okay with being, you know, for it taking what it needs to take.
Yeah, and you are right. You compare yourself a lot to other people, and that's if you can knock that on the head as fast as you can. And look, run it as lean as possible, right? And this is what I will say is that put the money in the right places, run it as lean as possible, be willing to forego gratification as long as you can. It's a trap that I fell in early, where I, you know, had the money, saw the shiny things, and wanted to buy and wanted to keep up with the Joneses. And later on in life, I realised if I just pull back a little bit more, put the money in the right parts of the business, and kind of delayed that gratification and just worked hard, right? Because you know, you don't have to keep up with the Joneses, but if you can figure that out early and you can run with that early, then, you know, you'll be better off in life.
It's such a hard thing to do, though. Like, it is, like, you know, I would have, mate, my DMs get pumped with guys, you know, wanting X amount, or they want this, or they want to do that, or they want to start the company in this. And I think a lot of guys just get caught up in this, you know, they want their company to look like some of the, you know, the top, you know. I had a guy only recently, I'm not naming names, but like the company is like for them, they're in like the top 0.1%.
Yep.
And then only then you don't really know the true story. You don't actually know what's going on.
You can kind of guess the amount of work that they've done, but you really can't understand it unless you've gone there through yourself. And I will say that to anybody who has a go, have a go. But don't ignore the basics, right? Know the numbers.
Yeah.
And when you think know the numbers, I'm talking, know the accountant figure, know where your margins are, know where your profit is, know where your costs are going to be and stuff like that. But you also need to know the industry numbers as well. Who else are you fighting against? Who else are you working with? And that was one of the things I could say comfortably is that I didn't like my competitors very much, And we were at a point at one time in the industry where we were just pulling all the work out of Brisbane for building designers. And I'm now the president of the Brisbane branch of the BDQ. And I was not that I was trying to beat everybody, but I was just so worried about tomorrow, right? So pulling as many jobs in as possible.
Yeah.
Once I realised, this thing called margin and profit, and just started looking at those types of things and saying, well, I don't need to pull every single person out of the market. I can go after the people that I want to work with. I can, and basically on the basis of doing projects that I really love doing. And seeing clients absolutely loving that and loving the journey and getting that feedback at the end of the project, even though you might go through a bit of ups and downs during the design phase, but getting them into the hands of a great builder and watching that build come to life. It's just absolutely an amazing feeling. I don't have kids, so I don't know what that's like, but I could compare it to it, it's like watching something great just almost come out of nothing, but you've been able to take this client on this amazing journey and you're both everybody. There's three people benefiting on it, yourself, the client and the builder, right? And it's just, it's an amazing feeling to see that happen.
All right, guys, congratulations. You're halfway through this episode. I hope you guys are really enjoying it. But first, I just want to make a special thank you to Ideal Group Australia. Without them, I wouldn't be able to bring this podcast to you. So special thank you. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Buckle in and get ready to listen to the end of this episode.
Would you say that there is an element of, I'm talking more business related now for clients?
Yep.
Because everyone always says, how do I get my first client?
Yep.
And for you, when you started out, I guarantee you, it didn't get handed on to you on a silver platter.
No.
And for a lot of guys that don't understand building design, yes, but it's very similar to, say, builders, essentially. Yep. When you go sit down with a client that wants to spend, it doesn't matter if it's a set of plans or you're getting them to build your house. A lot of the time, they will turn around and say, well, what have you done?
Yeah.
Show us your thing. And for you, at the start, probably wasn't a lot. So how did you overcome those battles, or what was it just grinded out? Did you?
It was when I got pushed in the back, left the job on the Friday, got blind, rotten drunk that night, woke up with a hangover, standing in the Harvey Norman line buying the biggest computer I could buy on Saturday. By Monday, Synergy Design and Drafting, at the time of what it was called, was registered.
Yeah.
Right. So I sat in a little office at the back of the house just going, right, how's this going to work?
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Sitting there just going, holy moly, here we go.
Yeah.
And and to me at that time, it was all about I needed clients because I had to pay the mortgage, had to pay the car payment, and things like that. So what was my quickest point from A to B? People talk about having regrets in life and stuff like that. And I say a lot of people have regrets and things like that. And if you don't have regrets, well, I think there's something wrong with you. But if you couldn't do it better the second time round.
Regrets and lessons, it's one of those
you're
things.
You're not learning, right?
Yeah.
And so I look back on that and go, did I have time in that time when I started the business to sit down and really think about what I wanted out of business rather than a paycheck, right? And getting bums on seats and getting people in the door. And I wish at 30, because I started my journey at 30, I wish I had the 2020 vision off into the future about what was going to do, but I had to do what I did at the time.
You had to move. You didn't have the.
Well, I got down to the last $5,000 in my bank account. I had a mortgage payment coming out. I had a car payment coming out. I had to put food on the table.
Clients.
And I needed clients. And I sat in the back room, almost breaking down in tears, just thinking this 4-month journey that I've spent all my money.
Yeah.
I bought a house to renovate it. Couldn't do any of that because all the money went into this business. sitting there just going, what am I doing? This was the Friday, and Monday the phone rang, the first phone call I'd ever got. And I was working for a developer. He said, I need these houses done. I need them done in 2 weeks. And there was just no way I was going to do these things in 2 weeks. And I just, okay, no worries. Sign me up, let's go. Yeah. And basically every night from that Monday until 2 weeks Sunday, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, drawing plans, go to bed. I remember leaving, just thinking, I can't stay awake. I get up at 6 o'clock or 3 in the morning, walk down the hallway, grab myself a nip of scotch, have a Tim Tam, put myself to bed, and
back up and
wake up in the morning, and away I go again. I made the deadline, got it, and then it's funny. Within 6 months' time, we were working out of a very small office in the Grange. I had staff. I think we were up to 4 people at that point. Yeah, and then basically the journey kind of built from then. And it took. Well, I'm 16 years into it now, but it took almost 7 years for me to realise that. After kind of getting as much work out in the industry as possible, putting it, building up the nest egg, build, putting as many people in the top, going, what I'm doing is great. It's a service. People are buying it from us. Obviously, we're doing something right here. But to me, it felt empty. To me, didn't mean anything to me. And it wasn't because I was looking out to other designers and architects going, oh, why are they getting all the good clients? There was definitely a portion of that. But to me, it was just kind of like, now it was my turn. And now I've done the hard graft. I grinded it through.
You build the foundation.
Build the foundation. I joked off camera with you before we spoke. That basically used to be your skinny guy. This is 16 years of business. But I do like a red wine and a good piece of steak and a pretty heavy cigar. But done it all to myself. But basically. Now everything that we're doing and everything that we're seeing is there's meaning, there's benefit for everybody. Everybody's got their own meaning out of it. Like I said before, myself, my clients, and the builders and stuff like that. So there's a reason now for what we're doing, and not to steal from somebody else who's been on this podcast. Hopefully building a little bit of a legacy, and that when people see some of our work, it's instantly identifiable that that's an Anthony and a Synergy project.
I actually knew Synergy before I actually knew you.
Oh, really?
So I'd heard of Synergy and seen you guys around before I actually knew who you were. So it's obviously made its stamp in Brisbane, but that's credit to the 16-year journey, and it doesn't happen overnight.
No,
and I would say I'm in a very similar situation where, 8 years in, 9 years in, it's only just now that we're same, contextualize it. I'm trying to contextualize it to the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't have the opportunity when I started out, not to mention, as I said, my first kid was there, I had a mortgage to pay, all the stress under the world. Yeah. I didn't have the opportunity to sit there, and everyone goes on about, yes, I had to know my numbers, but if I was right back then, if I was to sit down and say, I'm going to pick my ideal client, I'm going to pigeonhole, that ideal client's not coming to me. I'm little old Corey. I got nothing. I got a ute and a trailer. I got nothing. I had to build something.
You have to do your time.
Yeah, I had to get it up off the ground. Yeah. So I literally did the same thing. I grinded it out. I tried everything. Pamphlets, writing signs, flyers, fucking you name it.
The letterbox drop.
Gumtree.
Yeah. The amount of people that told me to do a letterbox drop, and you go, but I'm selling pizzas.
Yeah. It was anything and everything that I had to do. I tried it. I tried, and I ended up getting clients, and that just enabled me to get this thing up off the ground. And, there was no cash injection, nothing. I just had to fucking grind it out. Same, everyone loves to sit there and say, how do you do it? 16 years in, how do you do it?
Well, it's hard to say know your number, talking about the numbers again, know your numbers. But when you are just singly focused on getting the next job, and when the paycheck's coming and stuff like that, and you go, that's enough, because that means at the end of the month I'll survive. Yeah. At the end of the quarter I can pay my tax. Yeah. And basically it's hard, and you really and I was lucky enough I didn't have kids. When I said lucky enough didn't have kids, I'd love to have kids, but I was lucky enough that I didn't have that distraction, right? That I could focus a lot on the business and just go, right, okay, well, all my time is just going to be in the business, right? And just grinding it out and making it big. And we're still only 4 people total. Yeah. We got as big as we got was 12 staff. Yeah. $1 million worth of work to do, and me sitting in the office just going, oh, geez, look, how good am I? I got $1 million worth to do. The next thought in my head is, oh, shit, how am I going to get that $1 million done?
It's the journey. And I think this all comes back to, we were talking a bit about off camera, and I'm such a strong believer in that it's more about the person than it is anything else. Like for you to go 16 years, regardless of the financial gain, put that aside. Like you get $1 million in the bank, minus 20 grand, minus 40. Like you don't stay in it that long for that to be the driving factor. You love the game. Like you love the game. You know, you would have shit months, you'd go again, then you'd have great months, but you would deep down, that's just you. You know,
and even to the point, running up, you could talk to right up till now, right? Yeah. Where are we at right now? Running up till Christmas last year, fantastic. Yeah. We were on target for our biggest years since COVID, right? We're on target for our best year, best year in the history of the business up until Christmas. And then Christmas happened and we come on the other side of Christmas and it was like the crickets and the lights were off and we're just sitting there just going, what just happened?
Yeah.
And it was a grind. The last 6 months has been a grind. And pulling out of that, where basically all of a sudden people stopped spending money.
Yeah.
And you still had to you've got the beast to feed, you know, you still got to do certain things. And it's taken me a long time. I used to get quite panicky about it, but it's taken me a long time to stand back and just go, no, I'll be right. We've got money in the bank. What am I worried about? You know, we're doing all the right things. People will come back again. And they did. They start coming back towards the end of
coming back. And it's like, oh mate, like the amount of times I've sat on the edge of the bed in cold sweats, and it's only now 8 years in that I'm able to breathe, because it's like I go down a massive rabbit hole, what I used to anyway. A lot of my guys have got their own families and stuff, and a lot of these boys, they're the only provider. So for me, I try not to go down that path, because I can really snowball myself and be like, listen, if I don't make it, like, how am I going to tell them? Like, they're going to have to tell me, like, fuck. But I try not to let that really deter me now. And it is. Look, I take my hat off to a lot of guys that do it. Like
you need to verbalize sometimes, right? And it's hard to kind of lean on your mates constantly about doing that kind of verbalization of the stress that you're under and stuff like that. You've got to look. And I would say if anybody's trying to hold it back, don't, because it'll hurt you.
Do you find that sometimes your mates, like, because a lot of my mates, they're not in, like, I could probably talk to you about all the issues that I have, and you would be like, oh yeah. But then like my mates, they're like, it doesn't sometimes hit the same.
No, because some people are in a different kind of part of their journey, right? So I've got mates who are retired that are aware of my stress. They ask me the question as soon as I walk in, how's things going? How's business? Don't want to talk about business today. I just want to cook that steak over there, light that cigar, drink the thing, and let's talk about cars and whatever else comes up. And okay, cool. And they know then that's the stress relief. And then you've got people that you can ring, so my parents have been in business, a lot of their life. I can ring them up and just say, hey, look, I'm going through this at the moment. What do you think? And so being able to have that kind of, that support structure is absolutely fantastic. But sometimes you just want to, shoot the shit with your friends and just get on it and have a bit of fun and just kind of like, hey, I'm here. I don't want to talk about the business I know I have in the past. But I just want to smoke a cigar, have a good steak, and do some things that we shouldn't. So basically, and just have a bit of fun.
Yeah. And I think it sort of comes back to, anyway, I love to take my kids to Disneyland, right? You guys are all getting involved in my little personal life, but here we go. So
I just like to go to Disneyland. Can I come?
So
is that weird?
I used to get asked all the time, like, why? Why? But it wasn't until the other month I was sitting there and I was like, I think it actually stems from, during my week to week, I'm on. I don't. I gotta be here, be on. I'm adulting. If I'm not looking after the kids, I'm looking after my staff. So it's just constant. There's no switch off. Everyone, Saturday, Sunday, I don't really switch off, my phone. But then when I go on holidays, and I rarely do, every year I might go away for, 2-3 weeks. This year, didn't go away last year. This year, I'm going away for 5 weeks. It's probably my biggest trip that I've ever been on. It's the business, it's crazy. Like if we're a business owner, that is a big
it's a big time to
that's
take
a
away.
big time to take away.
Yep.
So, but it's taken me like 2.5 years of planning to get this thing done. I've saved every penny. You know, I'm just like a normal person. I still save my money just like everyone else. So for me to go away, and then when I thought about it, I was like, you know, the reason why I like it so much is because you can just be a fucking kid.
Yeah.
You want to run around, like I run around with my kids. We just do whatever. I don't have to worry about stressing or anything like that. But then when it just refreshes me, I don't know what it is. And then when I come back, I'm on.
Yeah, well, that's it's funny how you say that. Is one of the biggest life lessons I learned back in the 7-8 years ago was to be in the moment with your family, and that was probably the toughest one because you're right. You go home thinking about the business.
Yeah.
You know, just this weekend, Sunday came around, had a pretty good Saturday. Sunday came around, I went, I got to do some social media planning. So I sat at the computer all afternoon doing social media planning. You know. And sitting down there and doing those types of things is just finding time. But when you're with the family, you've got to be in the moment, right? So I've known over the years that like taking big trips or taking big holidays is very difficult. And you go for a 2-week holiday. And you're just starting to relax. You're just starting to forget about things. And basically, God, I've got to show up again on Monday. And so, I mean, case in point, I did the Simpson Desert last year.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Organising. I was going to go around away with a group of friends in the Land Rover Club. And last minute, my client from the US rings me and goes, we're flying in on this day. It was the day we were leaving. And I've gone, oh, you have got to be joking. Yeah. And I rang him up and I just said, look, are you going to be happy if I'm not here? And can the staff know we need you? And it was basically a 4-day marathon.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was I had to cancel the trip. And I've gone, oh, God damn it, I had to cancel the trip because they were coming in and I spent 4 days solid with the client while they were here because we were running around selections and getting the plans ready for construction and all this type of stuff and basically condensing what we would normally do in a 4-month period in 4 days.
Jesus.
So we've just gone, righto, we've got to get it done. I was talking to my uncle a couple of weeks later and I said, he goes, aren't you supposed to be in the Simpson Desert? I said, no, I had to cancel. Client come in. And he said, excuse my friends, fuck that noise. He says, basically he said, right, when can you go? And I just said, about a month's time. I think I can do it in a month's time. And he said, righto, we're going. So he loaded up his truck. We've got another friend involved. He said, right, we'll meet you. We said, okay, how you make it? He said, but we'll meet you at Birdsville on this date. Yeah. You better be there. Yeah. Righto. So here I'm in flying that night into Birdsville, pissing down raining, and basically had the best 3 weeks crossing the desert.
That's good.
And the fact that, I took the Starlink so I could still unfortunately do business, right? Still take the phone calls from the team. But the team stood up. They did really good for 3 weeks. But it got to the point where the third week where the phone just didn't appear. It was just
because they learned to survive.
Yeah.
And that's what I usually put it down. I've got this rule, right? It's like as a business owner, you can go away for about a week or two and it's usually pretty good. Yep. It's usually around about that 2-3 week mark. And it's either going to fall on its head or the staff are going to just pick it up and run with it. And for me, I can't, this is going to sound so weird, I can't holiday in Australia because I just can't help myself. If I'm on Australia's soil, I could be in Melbourne, I could be in Sydney or Perth. If I'm in another country, another time zone, I don't know, it's just like a mental thing. And then once I have the flight booked,
you're gone.
I'm gone. Yeah. Like my date is there.
But isn't it funny? And you have to identify this. You know what it is. It's you. It's not the staff.
Yeah.
It's because you've done the right thing. You've trained them. Yeah. You've trained them to be independent. You've done all this work with them all over the years and stuff like that. It's you. It's completely you. You don't realise that they're actually. You know deep down that they're capable of being able to do this on their own. You've got to take the first step.
You want them to rely on you a little bit.
Yeah. It's kind of like we're geez, I hope I don't let too much out of the bag, but I've got the team in a really good spot at the moment where it's for the first time in a long time that I'm actually doing more as a director of a business than being in it. Right? You talk to endless business coaches and they tell you, about eventually getting to that point of being that person, that role that you're supposed to be. And it's great we're getting to that point. So we've got a great team.
Yeah.
People have got their own roles, an interior designer and stuff like that in the business and things like that. So you're still the driving force. You're still doing client frontage, right? But a lot of the work is happening in the background, like a good business should.
Yeah.
So then when you do go on holidays, that basically the business is still functioning, still generating income, but it takes a long time to get there, and you've got to find the right people.
It was 4 years before I even went on one holiday.
Yep.
So it does take a lot of time, and for me on this one, when I go, it's going to be it's a big one because I know that what did someone say to me? A really close mate of mine, I went away for 2 weeks one time, and shit hit the fan during that period. It was literally I was boarding the plane, going, and shit went off, popped off on site. Workplace came, shut the site. He literally said to me, he said, mate, if the business fucking fails in 2 weeks, then the business shouldn't have been a business anyway.
Yeah.
So he's like, come back to it, forget about it, come back and pick it up where it left off.
And as business owners, there's time to relax. Once you learn the rhythm of things, once you understand that it's okay to say no, man, that is a big journey to get to the point to say no, right? And that's no to the staff, no to clients. And and if any clients are listening, I always say yes. But
sometimes it's saying no for the right reasons, though. It's not because you just saying no to say no.
Because you're being a prick.
Yeah.
No, it's because basically, no, that's not part of the service package.
Yep.
No, that's not what we do. Or no, I'm not going to take your phone call on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Right. So. But also too, that's also one thing you learn as a business owner is actually set boundaries. It's funny. You can actually set boundaries for your clients. It's really easy. It's a hard thing to kind of get your head around if you're not used to doing those.
Builders are usually the worst. Not for me, but I hear about because I used to be a builder as well. When you would deal with clients as well. That's usually the worst. Because a client that's spending $1 million with you. They expect you to answer their phone call on a Friday afternoon at 6 p.m. when they're walking the site that they shouldn't fucking be on anyway.
Yeah.
They expect a fucking phone call. Oh, what's going on here?
Yeah,
and it's when you start answering those phone calls or letting it slip and that sort of stuff,
And sometimes, if they get a text message, if it's that desperate, I'll talk to you on Monday. I'll put you as my second priority on Monday.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you on Monday. Because I think that was one of the biggest things is I was taking a lot of emotional drama from the clients, putting it on myself, thinking to myself, oh, they don't like me. Why don't they like me?
Yep.
What's going on? What have I done wrong? And 9 times out of 10, you haven't done anything wrong. 9 times out of 10, they're just having a really bad day, really bad week, really bad month. And you're the guy that they're taking it out on.
Yeah.
And then once you kind of realize that, it's you have this moment of euphoria where basically you go, okay, and then that's where it comes back to what I was talking to before about picking the right people to be clients as well, and putting the information out into the industry, into the ethos through social media or whichever way you do a podcast and whatever, so you can get the right customer base to come back to you. They want to work with you. You want to work with them.
Yep.
There's boundaries around how you work together. I'm going on holidays. Are you going to be okay with that?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here for this month's meeting. Is that okay? And if you've got a good team, it eventually works.
It eventually works. I think it feels against the grain to start. And the whole boundary setting, that was a massive change that I found going from B2C to B2B, in the commercial space. You don't answer the phone call at 6 p.m. on a Friday. You send an email at 9:01 on a Monday. That is literally there's such a difference, and I enjoyed that so much. It was so refreshing. Where you didn't answer your phone on a Saturday. So what? You're with your family. But how I reciprocated and when I started to feel tension back is I would say to the client, listen, I'm not going to ring you outside of work hours.
Yep.
I don't expect you to answer my phone call outside of work hours. You've got your own life. You're doing your own thing, whether you're with your kids or you're not. You're surfing, you're riding a bike. Go and enjoy that. During work hours is when I'll contact you, and I expect the same in return.
But also too, even from we've extended it down. So when we get a new client will come through the books. They have a sign up, an onboarding process, sign up process, and then basically there's a document that's called Working With Us, and then essentially it has all the rules, in addition to the contract. And but also too, when you value your time as well, I used to pack my days full of appointments, right? And now it's just kind of like, I'll do one in the morning and I'll do one in the afternoon. I don't do anything after midday on Friday because I'm done.
Yep.
Like I've just done God knows how many hours in the business.
But even it's just
I'm not going to the pub.
It's the mental strain.
It's the mental strain by that Friday afternoon. Monday mornings up until 1 o'clock are booked out because that's staff time, right? That's us getting the week ready. And then basically doing stuff. No, I won't visit you at 6 o'clock at night over the dinner table while the kids are screaming. Yeah. You come to see me. You know, it's like going to the dentist. I'm sorry, unless it's an emergency, you're not going to go and see, you know, some other professional like your solicitor at 6 o'clock at night. You know, we're exactly the same. And then you putting those parameters, you just look so much more professional. And you just go, no, I won't meet you at 8 o'clock. We start at 9. You know, the first appointment's at 9. And you kind of spread your day out so you're not stressing yourself out. Yeah. And you're not trying to be everything to every single person all the time. It's the worst. And it's a terrible way to run a business.
Sort of leads me into my, you can't please everyone. No. And I think that's also another journey that I've recently gone on. Is as a business owner, when you're starting out, and I was only talking to a guy literally 2 days ago about this. He runs a plastering company in New South Wales, fairly large, and his mentality is he's got to please everyone. But now his company's to a point where he can't. He's not. And he rang me, and I said to him, I was like, Matt, it's going to get to a point where you can't please everyone. You have to manage people's expectations, and that's it. You're managing it. Doesn't mean that you're going to reach their expectations when they want it, and all that. But you have to be okay with that. And a lot of guys get their nose out of joint and be like, but you're not putting the client first. You're not doing this. You're not doing that.
But if it's the right client for you, right, you will bend over backwards at the appropriate time to bend over backwards for them, and you will do everything that you can in your power to make sure that they have the most beautiful, seamless, smoothest ride, right, that you can possibly give them. But that happens between Monday and Friday between the hours of 9 and 5, right? So basically, and they'll love you for it. You'll come out the other side, and most of the time, when you have respect for yourself and what you're doing, and you value your time and what you're doing in your industry, people will see that. They'll see the profession. You stand up and become quite professional in that industry, and then effectively you attract similar people. You attract the right people into your business, and they understand because they go through the same thing on the other side of their thing. They're not taking phone calls at 6 o'clock at night,
Exactly.
So, and there's that mutual respect, so it becomes really easy.
It was just a massive. That was a massive pill to swallow. Was the expectations and that, because it was just like it used to chew at me, mate. Like I used to get builder after builder or developer after developer. Oh, you're not doing this or this, that, and the other. It's like, fuck, like you're hitting your head against the wall. And sometimes you question, I've had guys like scream to me like, mate, I've been doing this for 25 years and blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
But you like, I just keep going. Just keep going. Like I manage that expectation. I try to Band-Aid it, fix it, do what I got to do and move the fuck on and keep going. Like if you really let it, because I used to let it affect me massively. Like I used to take it to heart when guys would say, why the fuck did you do that? Why you do that? Your guys are shit. Like that used to really affect me. But now I just, I roll with it. Like everyone claims that they got the best carpenters in Brisbane, right? Everyone, I got the best team, best builder, best renders. I've heard it all before. I literally heard it all fucking before, right? But I just respect the guys that have been in it, that grind it out and just show up, do what they say they're going to do. If they say they're going to fix it. And move on. That's it. Move the fuck on.
And that's all you've got to do. And basically, one of the biggest things is you can't take client emotion on, right? If you can, it'll destroy you. It'll destroy you quick.
You up,
because then you think you're never good enough, right? And but basically, you've got to see what that emotion is, right? You've got to understand what that emotion is, and you go, you get the phone call. Used to get the phone call. Don't have it very often anymore. But get the phone call. You made me feel like this, and I said, no, I didn't make you feel anything. You chose to be unprofessional, and you chose to feel like that instead of coming to me with, a core argument that we can resolve together. I'm not here. I'm not your emotional bag, to be part of your emotional baggage. I'm here to provide you a service and be professional, be the professional in the room, take you through a journey. Let's do it together. We'll go through the ups and downs together and we'll come out the other side. But you have to be on the same level.
Yeah. But man,
When I say we're getting there.
We can do long format. I mean, we can fully go Joe Rogan, because you know what, something all we've done is talk about
Rogan.
business, but we haven't done anything on building design.
Well, we've got there. We got some of them.
I think I'm coming back for a second session in a couple of months.
Don't release our rebrand, all right? Joe Rogan style. Cigars and whiskey. But
well, I was going to ring you and say, should I bring cigars and whiskey? Because I really.
Yeah, when in Rome, right? That'd be the vet. That if you want to be the first, that'd be the first. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. Yeah, there's no smoke alarms in here, so we're good.
Yeah, good.
But Anthony, we're getting towards the end of it, mate. I think me and you, we could shoot the shit on that, and I think there's a lot of stuff that I think is valuable in the conversation for you guys that are listening anyway. Like, Anthony's a wealth of knowledge in building design, but I think even more so in business, mate. Yep. To go 16 years in the company and to build it to what it is now, with 4-star, but still, you found the groove now. And as I said, hey, I've seen Synergy before I even seen you, so I knew what you guys were about. And that's
I've only just becoming comfortable with the camera. I mean, I'm doing a lot lot and stuff like that. I'll be doing a lot more coming up myself. But we've been around for a little while. People know us. It's good.
No, it's a testament to you, mate. And I want to thank you again for coming on.
You're welcome.
And we will definitely have to run this back. Cigars and all.
Next time I'm coming, talk about design. We'll get some cigars, some scotch, and who knows what'll happen. But an hour later.
No, it was a good one. So thank you again, mate. And we will see you guys on the next one.
Cheers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this week's episode. If something hit home for you, it would mean the absolute world to us if you could like and share this podcast with someone else that would benefit from it. Tune into next week's episode, as this will be one that you don't want to miss.